What is going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. We're on the PTR looking at Guardian Druid and the upcoming changes that are happening on Tuesday. So if you guys have been living under a large rock, then you'll have no idea what's going on, but let me explain it to you. There are some buffs and changes coming in 10.0.5. There's a lot of changes coming, actually, specifically to multiple classes, and Druid is the biggest one. I'm going to be going over all the Guardian Druid changes today in the talent tree and explain kind of what to expect moving into 10.0.5, which happens again on Tuesday. Let's go over and look at the actual patch notes really quickly and just talk about what is significant here, because there's a lot. And again, this is all on Wowhead. There's a huge article that talks about all the changes that are coming, and there have been multiple posts about this. But Druid is by far the biggest class that got changed. Look at this. All 4 specs getting massive changes, okay? So there's a bunch of changes to the class side of things. I'll talk about this in a minute, but most notably what I want you to see is that Killer Instinct and Nurturing Instinct went down to 2 points instead of being 3-point talents. So that freed up 2 talent points for you there to move around somewhere else, which is really good. And then there's some new Typhoon talents that we'll talk about in a second. Yeah, a couple new connections, which is really good. But let's go down to Guardian Druid. We want to talk about Guardian Druid today. They've really, when they say the Guardian Druid tree has been redesigned, they're not joking. It's been redesigned, and we're going to look at them in a minute. There's some really important things like Ursine Adept being learned at level 10. And the biggest thing I want to take from the notes here is that Innervate can now be castable in bear form. This is actually really good for Mythic Plus. In Raid, it wasn't always like that hard actually to swap out a bear form to cast Innervate on a healer, because you just wait till you're not the tank that's on duty. Like, wait till you're not tanking, and then jump into human form, cast Innervate, jump back into bear form really quickly, and then you won't die. But now it's just way better now that you can just do it in bear form. It doesn't make any sense why you should be able to take the talent and not be able to cast it. So really glad that Blizzard made this change. There's new talents. We're going to get to all of them in a minute. I just wanted to highlight this in the patch notes because that's a really, really important change. So let's get to the talent tree in game and actually look at it here. And I get my notes up over here. So here we go. Let's look at the class side really, really quickly. Here's the 2 nodes that went from 3-pointers to 2-pointers. You got Killer Instinct here and Nurturing Instinct here. Those are just 2-point nodes now, which is really good. A couple of extra connections here, which is really good. A lot of the bear stuff hasn't changed a whole lot. You're still just going to go get, you know, thick hide and matted fur and come down here and get this. What has changed, what is really significant, is the Typhoon stuff over here. And let me show you. It's so much, it's actually worth coming down here now. It was probably worth it before, but all of these spells for Guardian Druid are useless because you can't pop into human form and heal yourself or you'll die while you're tanking. So let's get rid of Rejuvenation. Now we're going to go down the Moonkin area. You get the extra yards here, 3 extra yards of range. And then instead of being forced to go down and get Sunfire, you can go get Typhoon, like you probably did before. And now you have a connection node that gets you down to Ursul's Vortex, which is really cool. Let's take this. Let's get the rest of our talents here that we would normally get. I kind of want the movement speed. In-cap roar, sure. Oh, I need to get the middle stuff. There we go. Stop right there. Maybe get renewal. But now, you know, it depends what you want to do. You don't have to go do those other stuff that I did. But now you have this connection node. Gale Winds increases Typhoon's radius by 20% or reduces the cooldown of Typhoon by 5 seconds. It's kind of whatever. I don't know if you really would need a 25-second Typhoon versus a 30-second, but maybe there's just some moments where you need it. But you can grab your CC here without having to go and get like Sunfire and stuff. Now, if you're in a raid, or if you're in Mythic Plus and you're with a healer that really wants that Innervate and you really want to also get Nature's Vigil, then you know you could drop a couple things. Maybe get rid of Well-Honed Instincts or something, right? And boom, you're there. Maybe get rid of the Tireless, maybe get rid of the Feline if you don't want to get the extra movement speed. Fair enough, get rid of that. Now you've got your Well-Honed Instincts plus Nature's Vigil and Innervate, which you can now cast in bear form. Again, it's very significant in Mythic Plus because in Mythic Plus you can't swap out a bear form like ever or you die. You don't want to do that. So very good changes on the class side. Okay. Now let's look at the spec side, and this is where we're gonna get into lots of details here about what's going on. So let me talk about the general structure of the spec tree and what has changed and what is kind of important to think about here. There we go. So number 1, You can choose to go through different Berserk nodes now if you want to, or you can choose to avoid them because there's new connections. There's a connection from Earth Warden all the way down to Pulverize. Pulverize has been moved. It used to be down here where Raise is now, and I'll talk about Raise in a second. Pulverize is moved, but most importantly, you can go from after the Wildfire and Earth Warden down into the lower areas now. You don't have to go through Berserk and have to go through Fury of Nature, which is beautiful. Those extra connections are nice because if I wanted to, I could just go from Earth Warden down to here. I could skip out on one of these Berserks if I don't want them. For example, if I'm doing a physical-based build, I could just skip out on Berserk Persistence, which says reduces the cooldown on Frenzied Regen by 100% and the cost of Ironfur by 50%. I don't necessarily need that if I'm doing a Thrash-focused build where I'm just thrashing and thrashing and thrashing if I'm in like with Incarn or something, because I'm getting my shields from Thrash anyway. I'm not pressing Frenzied Regen in that situation. I'm just getting shields on shields on shields. So that is interesting. And if you're doing the other build, the Arcane build, maybe you want to drop the Berserk Unchecked Aggression because you don't care about the haste and you don't care about Maul getting its rage cost reduced. That could be. So now you get to choose because there's better connections here on the side of the tree. Very important for Bear. The connections for Bear were just really awful before, and now a lot of that has been solved, which is awesome. Now, another big thing that Blizzard has done is they've kind of swapped all related talents and they put them on the same side. So if you remember, Blood Frenzy in the tree that we have right now is actually over here with all the Moonfire Arcane stuff. Now it's over on the left side with all of the physical damage stuff, which is really, really good. That's where you would expect to see Blood Frenzy. And then on the right-hand side, you've got Galactic Guardian with all the scintillating moonlight and all that kind of stuff going on there. So, they've really separated the tree now and made it so that if you really want to do a physical build, you can come through Tooth and Claw, grab Vicious Cycle, grab your Unchecked Aggression for your Maul buffs, and then get all your Thrash physical buffs going on here. You can even get Dream of Cenarius, which I'll talk about in a minute, which you don't have to get. But what's beautiful about the tree is the way that it's sort of designed now. You can go left side for physical, you can go right side for Arcane, and no matter which direction you go, you can always pick up After the Wildfire, and you can always pick up Earth Warden, which is insane. This is so good. Earth Warden especially was something that we have been missing, I think, as Guardian Druids. It's not taken in every single build because in the old talent tree, it just wasn't easy to get if you wanted to go get all the Arcane stuff, which is the best, really one of the best ways to play. If you wanted to get the Galactic Guardian, you were going to have to drop something up here in the middle, and it was usually Earth Warden. So now you can do this if you want to. You can go do an Arcane style build, which would be this, and you can still get Earth Warden over here, and Tooth and Claw, and After the Wildfire. So really amazing. This midsection of the tree, they've really fixed up quite a bit, and you can come over here and get all you see the difference now. Look at this build. This is a pure Arcane build now. I've got Galactic Guardian with the new cooldowns, and I don't have any physical stuff at all. So you can really pick and choose whichever direction you want to go now, I think, as a Guardian Druid, and still pick up the generically good talents up in the middle row, no matter what build you're doing, which is huge. Huge stuff right there. Okay, really, really good. So there's still a few talents that I think are kind of oddly placed to a degree, like Dream of Cenarius is one of them. It's stuck here over in the physical side of things, and I actually think Dream of Cenarius could be a good talent. It makes your regrowth hit twice as hard, or 200% harder, which I think is just twice as hard. I don't know. There's always these calculations are always weird. It might be 3 times as hard, actually, because if it was hitting 100% harder, then it would be doubled, right? So 200% might be 3 times harder. My regrowth right now hits for 17,000 and then another 5K. So that would be like 34, 50, a 50K heal maybe? It might be like a 50K heal from Dream of Cenarius every 20 seconds. That might be worth looking at now as an alternative to having to press Frenzied Regen and stuff, right? But anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. But these talents are a little bit out of place. I would say Dream of Cenarius seems kind of weird. There's a new Thorns of Iron, which has to do with Ironfur, and it's kind of stuck in the Arcane side of the tree, which I think is a little bit strange. And I think Rage of the Sleeper being on the Arcane side is a little bit strange as well. I don't know where else you would put this necessarily, but it feels like a physical kind of ability to me, and maybe it should go on the left side here, but those don't, it's not really the end of the world. I just wanted to point out that there are some weird talent positions still. Speaking of the new talents, there is Raise, which is down here. I'll talk about this at length in a minute, but this replaces Maul. It makes Maul hit all enemies in front of you. That's what it does. And that might sound like really like nothing, but it's actually a massive deal, and I'll get into it in a minute. Okay, that's new. Lunar Beam has come back from old Guardian Druid talent trees. Okay, so Beam of Lunar Light at your location. It'll follow you around. I think it'll follow you around. I need to go test it on the dummies in a second, which I will show you. But it does damage to everybody around you and heals you, which is really cool. Again, another heal. Guardian Druid is picking up so many extra ways to heal themselves now. You've got things like, the healing from arcane damage. So Lunar Beam, for example, will double dip on healing because it's going to heal on its own and it's going to deal damage. And any damage that you deal, arcane damage, heals you for 30% of all the arcane damage that it deals. So Lunar Beam is like a double heal. But you can also heal with After the Wildfire. You can also heal with Dream of Cenarius now. They're really like pulling us away, I think, from feeling like we can only heal ourselves with Frenzied Regen. Like, they're basically saying, you know what? You will be safe. Don't worry about it. Only use Frenzied Regen on emergency because you have all these other buttons that are going to be healing you. So that's another new talent that's here. Moonless Night is here. When you cast any single target ability on an enemy affected by Moonfire, you cause them to burn for an additional 10% arcane damage. Once again, ding, ding, ding. This is going to heal you with the Loon's Favored. And with this build, you are pressing Moonfire a lot more often than normal, which is a single target ability. So very, very cool. Moonless Night. And then, as I said before, Thorns of Iron is here, which says whenever you cast Iron Fur, you also deal physical damage equal to 30% of your armor, split amongst all enemies within 12 yards. So, actually not bad in Mythic Plus, and I tested this out. It does a decent amount of damage. I think it was doing 6 or 7% of my damage, especially if you're doing like an Incarn build where you're just pressing Thrash and generating tons and tons of rage. You can dump it all into Iron Fur. Just keep spamming Iron Furs. Or if you have Convoke, if Convoke casts Iron Fur like 7 or 8 times, you'll splash damage from Thorns of Iron every single time Convoke does that. So some interesting synergies there with Thorns of Iron as well. Yeah, really, really good. Again, as I said before, these talents right here, After the Wildfire and Earthwarden, are much less detrimental if you want to go take them. In the talent tree as it is right now in the live game, having to go take After the Wildfire really sacrifices a lot of other things for your build, and it doesn't do that anymore in the new talent tree. Having to take Earthwarden won't sacrifice anything you want to do over here. So that's really cool, and I love that they've kind of fixed that. The other thing I want to say is that there are multiple old talents that have just been baked into the kit, which is really, really cool. If you'll notice, we don't have to take an extra charge of Frenzied Regen anymore, which you used to have to take. Let me just look at that really quickly. Yeah, so, the Survival Instincts one has been moved over here to 2 charges, and we get 2 charges of Frenzied Regen. Actually, I thought that was... I was just wrong about that. Don't worry about that. That is still there, but they've just moved it over to here, and they swapped places with the Mangle one. I don't know why. It actually makes no difference at all in the tree, and these are all connected now. I'm just looking at the old talent tree, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. Some other things that have been baked in those, there used to be Ursine's Adept right in the middle here. Right above Berserk used to be Ursine's Adept. That made your Moonfire Soothe and remove corruption and stuff castable in bear form. That's just baseline now, which is really good. A very welcome change. Something they should have switched a long time ago, but whatever. Front of the pack is now up here as well, and it used to be down in the middle, right above the Fury of Nature here. And it used to be kind of annoying because you would have to go through front of the pack in order to get to Lunar, Fury of Nature. You didn't have to, but it was just there, and it was like an option. And now it's something you don't have to take if you don't want to. You could take this for your team if you really want to take it. If you need the extra movement speed on a particular raid boss or something. Maybe Razageth could be something interesting, where you're trying to take out those big electrified puddles. I don't know. Excuse me. But the point is, you don't have to take it anymore, which is very good quality of life. And again, as I said, Ursine's Adept is now baseline. Very good stuff there. Okay. Let's keep moving forward. Let's talk about the physical build. These are the 2 builds that I think are going to emerge now for Guardian Druid. I'm going to finish off with this in terms of what builds are going to be emerging. I think that there's going to be a physical build that kind of emerges here, and it's going to look something like this. So over here, I'm taking Soul of the Forest, which makes my Mangle deal more damage and generate more rage. I still get After the Wildfire to heal me. I get Earthwarden now to also heal me for those auto attacks that are going to be hurting me. And now we get a whole bunch of physical damage synergies. We're getting Thrash, having a chance to trigger Thrash. We're getting Ursoc's Fury, which gives us a shield from Thrash. and we're getting Rend and Tear, which gives us damage reduction. So we're getting 6% damage reduction basically all the time, then 30% damage reduction from auto attacks because of Earth Warden, because we're going to be thrashing a lot more. I am going to take Incarn for this, the old school Incarn, okay? Then there's a couple synergies that are absolutely crazy. Here's the new cooldown. It's called Raise. This replaces Maul. You now strike with the Might of Ursoc, dealing damage to everybody in front of you. Why is this significant? Because this synergizes with all of the Maul synergies on the talent tree. So, Tooth and Claw. Yes, Tooth and Claw. So my next Maul does 40% more damage and costs no rage and reduces the damage that I take by 15%. That splashes to everybody now. So not the damage reduction. The damage reduction only goes on one target, but your Maul will now do 40% more damage to everybody and cost no rage, of course, with this Raise cooldown. That is absolutely crazy. Unchecked aggression. The rage cost of Maul goes down by 50%. You can spam Maul in an AoE situation with Berserk going, and it will be giving you tons of extra damage going on there. And here's the biggest synergy of all, guys. The absolute craziest thing is Ursoc's Fury. Look at what this says. Thrash and Maul grant you absorb shields for 30% of the damage they deal. That includes this new AoE version of Maul. So I actually looked at the math on this. If I had regular Maul up, I'm not going to talent out because it takes too long, but if I have regular Maul with no raise and I get a Tooth and Claw proc, I get a 4k shield. 4,200 health is my shield. If I get a Tooth and Claw proc and I press raise, I get a 15k shield. It's more than 3 times bigger than the original Maul because it hits everybody. It's actually going to make this build work in AoE. Like, you can just pop Incarn now and press Thrash into Raise, into Thrash into Raise. Hopefully you generate enough of your rage too. I think you can do that though, yeah. Because again, we've got Blood Frenzy, right, giving us the rage. So let me show you what it looks like right here. It's very exciting, the damage that you're going to be able to do as a bear. Not only that, but you're going to be getting shields the whole time. So you're not going to be worried about pressing Frenzied Regen or anything like that. You're not going to have to. You can just get shields on shields on shields. And it's not just Thrash giving you shields. It's going to be Maul now, which is AoE. So watch this. We're going to charge in. I don't have charge. I do have charge. No, that's Stampeding Roar. There's my charge. I don't know why it's over there. I did have Pulverize before, but I didn't take it. Here's something you could take with this build. You could take Pulverize if you want to, as an extra button, but I chose to get the Thrash as a chance to trigger an additional Thrash, which I think is just better, okay? So we charge in, we press Thrash. Now we're going to go into our Incarn here. Here's my first raise. Look at my Ursoc shield. It's already at 16k. Here comes my Incarn, okay? We're going to go raise. I got a free raise into Thrash, into raise again, into Thrash, into raise. Remember, it doesn't cost any rage. Look at the rage. It doesn't cost anything. I'm generating more rage than I can even press it, and I'm getting a shield. My shield's at 110k. It's capped out now. It's not going to get any higher, but like, I can just cycle between raise, which is Maul, and Thrash, basically. Then I can use the occasional Gore procs. If I had a tier set bonus on, you're going to want to press those Gore procs, but this is what I'm saying. Because it costs no rage during Incarn, you can just spam it, and you're getting a shield no matter what you do. If you're pressing Thrash, you're getting a shield. If you're pressing Raise, you're getting a shield. And look at the damage it did. I don't even have any gear. Remember, my gear is only 340 on this guy. But look how much damage this thing just did. And it overhealed me. The Ursoc shield isn't going to show, of course, but, you know, whatever. Does it show up on here? After the wildfire's going off as well. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We can't really see it there. I can try it on a dummy action in a second here. But the AoE damage and the AoE healing are going to be monstrous because of Ursoc's Fury. It's really going to make Ursoc's Fury, like, feel strong again, in my opinion. I think it's really, really good. On top of that, you're getting healing from after the wildfire because you're spending a bunch of rage on Raise. And you're getting the Earth Warden healing as well, which is really, really good. Is this guy going to hit me? He's going to hit me, right? Yeah. Is he not going to hit me? There we go. Let's go to regular healing. Oh my god, I can't even look at it. There we go. Okay, so Thrash into Raise. It's not going to be as strong on single target, but it's still going to be there. It's still going to be something that you can do. And again, I'm going to get after the wildfire healing here in a second. I have to spend 150 more rage. So it's like it incentivizes you to spend your rage on the Maul because it gives you such a bigger shield now. We'll just get a heal going here. This might not be the best build. You know, this is not a good indicator necessarily because it's not more than one target. The value of this is really going to be in Mythic Plus, where I'm getting huge amounts of AoE damage and healing. But you can just see this could be like your new kind of thing, where you have big defensive buttons, like you've got your Bark Skin, and in emergencies you can press Frenzied Regen. But generally speaking, you're just going to be getting into your Incarn here, and you're going to be going between Thrash and Raise, and they're going to be giving you shields, and Raise is going to be triggering your After the Wildfire proc, which is really, really cool. I also have this Dream of Cenarius thing, which my Wild Growth's over here. Let's pop this Wild Growth and see what it does. Big heal from Wild Growth right there. So that's cool. Every 20 seconds, I can use that. So again, another form of healing that isn't relying on your Frenzied Regen to save you. We can pop a Frenzied Regen right here. There, I got my Regrowth back again. There's another Regrowth. Look at that. That was a huge heal right there. And now we've almost got our After the Wildfire proc. There we go. It's going to go off right now. Just went off again. There's another heal. Now my Regrowth's going to come back here. Watch this. A couple seconds here. Get a couple more shields. So you can kind of like substitute these shields. There's a big Regrowth right there. Into a Frenzy Regen. Keep me going. You can focus on doing damage and getting shields with Thrash and Raise. And then you can substitute the healing in. You've got Renewal. You've got this new Regrowth talent. You've got Frenzied Regen in an emergency. And you've got After the Wildfire that you're constantly healing with. So here's another Regrowth right there. So I just love this new setup. I think it's kind of weird, but I think it works. And I think it's really cool. You can see our healing there, Frenzy Regen, Regrowth, After the Wildfire. It's all there. The shielding is terrible because it's only on a single target, but Ursoc still did 7% of our healing, which is really good on a single target. Remember, in an AoE situation, this would be much, much better. Let's take a quick look at the Arcane build. Okay, we're finally able to change our talents back. I had to, like, run to another continent there. I'm not really sure why, but we did it. Okay. Let's run down here. So, here's the Arcane build. We're going to take this for a spin. I'll just show you the damage profile on it as well. Once again, we've dropped all of our Thrash stuff. We've dropped, you know, Circle of Death. We have no AoE Maul anymore. We still do have Tooth and Claw, but we now have, like, Rage of the Sleeper, which is going to be good. And we've got this new Lunar Beam, which I'm actually going to put, I'll put right there. So you get a couple more cooldowns. You could take Convoke or Incarn if you want to. It doesn't really matter. But you still have After the Wildfire, still have the Earth Warden as well. And we can charge in. Maybe just now. You're doing mostly single target here with your Moonfires. You want to make sure you're pressing that. Let's do Lunar Beam. There we go. So it doesn't move with you. You do have to place it down. That's the one thing about the Lunar Beam. You want to make sure that you place it down in a spot where you're happy to be standing for a little bit of time. Let's get into our Incarn here. I'm not sure if you would even take Incarn here. Maybe you would just take the Convoke instead, or just don't take it at all. I don't know. Maybe it's not as good. But Incarn's always just good to have, even just for the 30% HP. I think it's really strong. But here you go. You can see the difference here. We're just basically pressing Moonfires every once in a while and spreading it around, getting lots of rage generation from that. I can spend it on Iron Furs. I'm basically not pressing Maul unless I'm getting a proc. It's very simple. It's what you're used to, but you're just going to be getting lots of extra damage from it, even more so than you have before, because of the extra cooldowns of Lunar Beam and Rage, you know, getting Rage of the Sleeper as well. There's the After the Wildfire proc of healing. What we don't have is the Regrowth Dream of Cenarius, which I think might actually be decent now, if I dare say. It might actually be a good talent. Here's the damage breakdown there. Look, it's going to be the same as it's always been. As you guys have seen in the expansion so far, this is what that looks like, right? You've got Moonfire just absolutely trucking the meters in terms of the damage that it deals. Let me try to get out of combat again. Hopefully it works this time. Just make sure. Okay, let's go back in and test it on the dummy really quickly before we end the video. Can I change talents? Yep, okay, so we're out of combat. Good, good, good. Okay, so here is what it's going to look like on the training dummy. Taking damage here. We'll pop Rage of the Sleeper, get some Leech going. And we will do Lunar Beam in a second. Maybe we just do it right now, actually. Might as well do it while we have the Leech going from Rage of the Sleeper. So this is just going to keep me topped like the entire time. Now, I don't have the ability to regrowth every 20 seconds, which I think is actually pretty valuable, in my opinion. Now that I'm looking at that talent, that is super strong. That regrowth heal was pretty crazy. But we do have Moonfire doing lots of damage. We're mangling whenever we can. I don't have my tier set bonus at all, so keep that in mind. If you had your tier set bonus, you might be playing this a little bit differently. We're going to use Renewal here, just in the interim. We're basically just waiting till we get back to our Lunar Beam and our Rage of the Sleeper, right? And our Incarn is coming off cooldown again as well. All of your abilities reduce the cooldown on Incarn as a bear, by the way. That's the big bonus that you get. Okay, so we're in Incarn now. Let's go. We got our extra health. Got a big Wildfire heal right there. That after the Wildfire healing is absolutely insane. Here's Rage of the Sleeper. Let's go. Put Bark Skin on, and we got back to our Lunar Beam with no problem at all. So you can see both of these builds, I think, are going to work perfectly fine in single target and AoE situations. I think that I don't know which one's going to be better. I actually think they're both going to be great. Here's a Lunar Beam healing and damage. Realistically, in a raid scenario, you're not going to take Lunar Beam, guys. I just want to show you. I want to show you what it looks like, right? But I think both these builds are going to work. After the Wildfire, it's just crazy how much healing it actually provides for you. Haven't even touched the Frenzied Regen yet. Let's do that now. Haven't touched Survival Instincts at all, which we have 2 charges of that as well. But it just looks solid. It looks solid to me. So, yeah, looking good. Now I have to run all the way to another Arcana just to get rid of this. So there's our damage, Moonfire, melee, and our healing on this one is going to be just after the Wildfire, Frenzied Regen. And there's the Arcane healing from Elune's Favored and Lunar Beam, doing a lot of healing to us there. So remember, Lunar Beam is also going to double dip with Elune's Favored, which is super cool. So that is it, guys. Those are the changes coming for Guardian Druid in patch 10.0.5. It's coming up in a couple days. It's on this reset on Tuesday. So this is exciting. I think this really is going to change a lot of things for Guardian Druid. In particular, I'm looking at Raze. Getting that AoE Maul cleave with a Tooth and Claw proc is going to do so much damage, and it's going to give you a massive shield. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Is something like Raze plus Ursoc plus Tooth, is that going to shift the pendulum? Are we going to swing back towards some physical builds for Guardian Druid? Because I think we might. We'll just have to see how that kind of goes. But thank you for watching. I love you all. I'll see you in the next one.